Alright, welcome back to another SegWeather video looking at your forecast for Friday, July 31st of 2026. We're going to go ahead and dive into the forecast for your last day of July. Starting off with the radar, this is as of just a few minutes ago. You can tell that we do have a bit going on, especially across the Midwest. You can see this area of some showers and a couple storms moving through as their low pressure system that was moving through parts of the plains, bringing unsettled weather has moved off to the east. Now it's bringing that wet weather to the Midwest, and unfortunately, it's going to be stalling here for the next few days. So once it gets past, let's say about Indiana, it's going to stall here for just a few more days. So if you're in this general area, you may want to brace for a few wet days coming up very soon, and then you can see a couple showers across parts of Florida right now. They'll continue throughout your day today. Moving on to our current watches and warnings, we do have a few to talk about. For heat advisory still in place for parts of the mid-south, with heat index values expected to be over 100 in the orange region, and then looking at that also being possible over parts of Oklahoma where we have the extreme heat warning in place for today, expecting that to be the case for your Friday afternoon, expecting heat indices over 105. Same thing for the Southwest, a lot of orange, a lot of dark pink. That's the same exact thing as what's happening here in the plains. Heat indices between 105 and 120 looking pretty likely. A extreme heat watch in place for eastern parts of Montana. This is for a developing heat wave that's going to hit this area as well. Looking at that going to affect potentially by tomorrow as well. And then noticing all the tans out towards the Pacific Northwest, those represent fire weather watches, as unfortunately this is in place for a incoming potential for potential developing fires in conjunction to hot dry air and strong upper level winds moving through this region. And unfortunately that's going to lead to potentially more of those fires developing throughout the course of the weekend. Also, the pink represents red flag warning. Same thing to a firefighter watch, but much more significant winds being possible as well. Now, as we move off towards the current wildfire smoke situation right now, unfortunately, it's still pretty bad in Washington and Oregon right now. Another little area just off the west, around the west coast of California, and then some spotty areas of some fires taking place in different parts of the Rockies and Plains in conjunction to the very dry air that's occurring in these regions due to the drought that's also ongoing at this time. Looking at the current wildfire smoke situation as we head into this evening, we do expect the smoke to remain quite significant across the Pacific Northwest, expecting it to be very smoky there. But as we move towards parts of the Midwest, the plains, expecting again those hazy skies, but notice not much in Iowa, and that's due to the low pressure system that's going to be sitting right over this area. And as it does, it's going to disperse some of that smoke. So this is the only saving grace for the Midwest, as with this low pressure system moving into, let's say, Illinois and Indiana. It's going to disperse the smoke for just a little bit, but once that system gets out of here, it may come back as we head later on next week. But for the time being, we could see some better skies for the lower Midwest for your day today. Not so much the upper Midwest, as the system won't quite reach there, but for Iowa, Missouri, you guys will be in luck, as you would expect that smoke quality to be pretty low by this evening. The deep south, seeing some of that smoke also being possible, the haze as well, expecting that to be the case as you progress for your Friday. Now, looking at your temperatures for today, a bit warm, especially across the deep south to mid-south and southwest. Temperatures in the hundreds to 120 degrees for a lot of these areas. Temperatures roughly in the 80s across much of the mid-Atlantic. Temperatures in the Midwest also a bit warm until those shower and storm chances do interrupt that. Temperatures in the 60s to 70s with those storm chances later on this afternoon in parts of the Midwest. And then temperatures a bit warm in the upper Rockies to West Coast. Temperatures in the 80s to 90s for you guys throughout your day today. And now as you look towards the pattern, expecting between now and Wednesday, with that low pressure system sitting over much of the Midwest and Northeast, you expect those cooler temperatures to remain in place for a lot of this region into the start of August. This is the upper level anomaly, so any areas where you see yellow, green, that indicates cooler anomalies, and you can see that again. Midwest will be seeing that as we head throughout the course of the next several days until about Wednesday, when the pattern finally resumes. As soon as this unsettled low pressure system gets out of the way, but the heat itself will remain trapped in place until about then. So expecting heat to remain in this general region while everyone else sees a bit cooler weather for a time frame. Better look at that. You can see again that low pressure system in the Midwest. These are the not another view of the anomalies. Again, you can see where you see the reds that indicates warmer anomalies, the blues indicate cooler anomalies. You can see it just stalls over here in parts of the Midwest. Now, as we move on to the severe threat for today, we do have up to a slight risk in place for parts of southwestern Illinois into Missouri for scattered severe storms being possible. So that's a level 2 risk in place for those areas. And then same thing for the southwest. You can see some of that eastern parts of New Mexico into northwestern parts of Texas. A slight threat for some strong storms, and then marginal risk surrounding all that as well. And as we look towards remaining threats, tornado risk looks to be a little higher, especially here towards the Midwest, looking at up to 5% risk for a couple tornadoes to be possible in that region. Looking at a fairly modest slight risk for damaging winds as well, looking at up to 60 mile per hour wind gusts with some of these storms. And then looking at the hail risk, looking at it being pretty low, but still some spotty instances of hail, maybe half-hour sized hail to maybe an inch hail being possible in some of these areas. Now, looking at our excessive rainfall outlook for today, looking at up to a slight risk of rainfall occurring, especially for parts of the Midwest, expecting excessive rainfall to be potential there, but nothing too significant to write home about. Just watching that for your day to day. Marginal risk elsewhere for the Southwest and for parts of Deep South as well. And as we look towards the models between now and Saturday morning and see that spinning low pressure over the Midwest, that's going to bring those shower and storm chances to a lot of these areas from this afternoon and going into the overnight hours and into very early Saturday morning. You can tell by Saturday morning it's already moving its way into Michigan, Indiana, and even to Kentucky by then. So looking at quite a bit of action for you guys if you are in this area, and then some of the action towards the southern plains to the southwest, some showers and storms occurring in this region as well, and a few showers and storm chances in Florida as well. Now, a closer look towards the Midwest, you can see again that spinning low pressure system as it just slowly makes its way towards the east and bring again a lot of activity along with it. Another view of the southern plains and scattered storms developing during the course of the afternoon, and then maybe a few more stronger cells as we head towards this evening and into later on tonight. But that is it for this update. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed this video. And if you want to see more of this content, don't forget to subscribe to always get updated on whenever I post a video on this channel. Have a great day and stay weather aware.